This is going to suck, but I'm only going to be able to show you how to take apart something, not make it work. This is the interior of a flare gun, and this little thing here is Satan. You cock the hammer back, it gives you a clue. Let's see it explode. There's just enough space there for you to stick a wedge in. I'm going to do that. It's going to be the ass end of a toothbrush I whittled down. This is one I use for cleaning the bicycle. Put it in there in between that push crutch. Then you pull the trigger and that'll take the tension off. Now use a 4mm Allen wrench or whatever you can get your hands on that'll work. Push out the pin for the hammer part. When you push that out, as you push it out, the pin, when it comes out, will be, you'll be making the Allen wrench take the place of the pin. It's a little black pin. Set it on something contrasting. Pull out this, and now the hammer should be able to be lifted out. When you put it back together again under tension, it's a fight because of that little spring there. Now I'm going to quietly and carefully pull that out very slowly. It's going to pinch my fingers, and then the spring jams against the frame. Now comes the fun part. In order to get this out, what we do is we push this out and let it go into this channel. This is the reason this channel's in there. And I'm going to need to use a slightly smaller Allen wrench. I'm using whatever I can get my hands on here. I'm going to slowly pull it out by wedging it out. I can't show you on camera, but I'm going to be moving it from here over to here so I can release the pressure. Doing it the other way around is really, really terrifyingly hard to do. Oh, and it helps to reposition the hammer. When you pull the trigger here, it's not touching anything in there. So you can try to push it up towards the top of the frame, and it gives you a little bit more mechanical advantage, because then you can try to get a little bit more room and maybe get that out of there. Now if you do it right, there we go, I did it right. If you bring it up that high, the plastic tab in there actually moves out of the way. Doing it the other way around is a pain. And what you get is a little round object, and let go, little barrel here that has a square hole in it. And now that crutch-shaped item with a spring on it comes out. The crutch type part that's higher or longer needs to be oriented towards the top of the gun. And the spring goes over this plastic piece, which could be delicate. And this piece only fits on one way, and it prevents it from having too much play. I'm going to put this down now. I hate that spring with a purple passion. The rest of this is relatively simple, but you need to take it apart in this order. This part here has tension on it, but the tension's almost zero when you do that. So again, we take our 4mm Allen wrench, if you want to, or metal pin or something. I'm going to be pushing the pins out the direction I think will cause the least amount of damage. Pull out that pin. Then when I pull this pin out, you're going to hear something or see something. It just barely moves. You can lift that off carefully, but you can't. It's stuck. Well, look here at the base. See that notch there? That notch actually holds tension on it. If I push it down, it clicks. That actually holds it there. And there's a spring. It's now very weak, and it's pressing against the trigger to push it back. And also a little thing of plastic. Here's the barrel. Got to do that because it's funny. Put the barrel down. Keep the thing oriented this way, you're going to lose everything. And then carefully tilt it this way, and you'll get out a little bullet-shaped pin with a narrow part on it that goes in that spring that's in there. And now we're going to get the spring out by tilting it forward this way. Let's see if I can tap it, pull the trigger, pops right out because it was pressing against the trigger. Okay, pull that out, set it down, and now at that point the trigger just comes out with pushing out a pin. Nope, I'm going to do it. Do it in whatever way takes the least amount of effort to get the pin out, because there may be a tapering to the pins, but I haven't figured that out yet. Or just leave the pin in. I've got to actually do this though. And when you push out the pin, again, whatever you push the pin out with, doesn't matter what kind of metal it is, it should take the place of it. And then when you get that out, the trigger doesn't want to come out through this space. It wants to come out through the body of the gun and out through up here where the hammer was. Shaped like this. This little catch right here is what does almost 100% of the work. There's also a block here and a few other parts. Now I'm going to reassemble it. Push it back in. You have to line it up till it lines up visually. Do your best. You're going to screw up. It's normal to screw up. When you grab the pins, one part of the pin, I can't really demonstrate it on screen, has a recessed edge, almost like it looks like it's a rim, and the other side is a wedge shape. Whichever one goes in easiest to do this is the one you should use. You shouldn't use the one you think should work. Use the one that will work. And you got to memorize where you got the thing from. So when you put the pin in, if you can get the pin in, trying, failing. Okay, let's see if it goes in now. Like I said, look for the pathway that of least resistance and most persistence. Yep. Or fail miserably and start over. Let's try it again. Oh, that worked. Yeah, the pathway on this one that seems to work best, depending on the pin, might be the one that has a little circle around every one of the holes, or just has the hole. When you're pressing it in, I recommend using a plastic object to make it level and flush. Every one of these needs to be level and flush so that the mechanical energy that is being put into this with all these springs works. When you put it into a spot, make sure you have it in the right spot by testing it. You may have noticed it's the wrong spot. I put it in the wrong hole. I slipped. So push out the pin. Come on. There we go. There will be more errors. Trust me, I'm very good at making mistakes and immediately compensating for them if I can. By the way, originally this design may have included a trigger that also latched the barrel in place. So by redesigning this little piece of plastic, you might make it to where when you pull the trigger, it also pulls a block into this space and holds that barrel shut. Now we take out our spring that's for the trigger and for the barrel latch, straight up and down. Now when you put it in there, you'll notice that it does actually touch, so you can actually drop it in like that, and it'll fit. Now when you push the trigger back and forth, you'll notice that it has the least amount of height or the maximum of height. You want to push the trigger forward and get out your little bullet-shaped thingy thing on it. And it's got to be dropped just right, and you might fail a lot like I've done 4 times now. Yep, that one did not work, so come on, get in there. Don't make me look bad on camera. Damn it. Okay, let me see if I can get it in again. It worked in rehearsal. I got it. Now, when you do that, you barely see it in there. Okay. Now, don't dink around and have a video camera on. Take the barrel, find the notched part of the barrel, and slide it in there, and you'll notice when you push it in, it doesn't line up well until you let that little notch there fall into place, and it just locks in. And that makes it really easy to put in the pin, and that was very welcomed. Originally, the design had a latch like that that would also hold it shut. Also, squeeze it down like that, and the pin should go right in. Oop. Don't lose your pin. Don't put it in the wrong spot. Don't be waptek. You can succeed at not being me. And again, use some plastic object to push it to flush. I should be using a plastic tool to push these out, but honestly, I don't have anything like that. I'm toolless. And when you pull the trigger on this, now that you got the spring in there, this and that works. Function check. Yay! Next. Put the 4mm wrench toy away. Now, the horror. Okay, now, disassembly versus reassembly may be very different. I'm going to put this together with a little, where are you? Don't be, okay. Here's our little crutch, the round barrel thing that the spring goes on. Come here, you little twerp. And the spring of Satan. So anyway, something I noticed is that if you rotate the spring, because it's not perfectly flush, it actually comes to a locking point where it likes being on one side rather than the other. It may matter a great deal. I don't know of any manuals for this, so I'm just going to put it on one side and hope. Next, when you put this in, you have to use this channel for all the springy stuff. God help you if you don't. And you want to kick that thing up towards the top of the body of the thing and make sure the long part of the crutch part is pretty much sticking up out through here. Right up through there. See? Right there. It looks misaligned because it is. This is to get the thing in there. Now I'm going to try. God help me, this may not work. If it doesn't work, this is the last step, by the way. Just keep muscling it in. You got to put the round... I hate you so much. You put the round thing on the spring. And I'm going to push it in with a thumb. As you're pushing it in, you're giving it enough room to be able to get in there. Ugh, it doesn't want to do it. It wants to pop into place, but it doesn't want the little round thingy in the way. And when you do that, it doesn't really... Hold on. Let me see if I can get this to go in. Nope. Okay, it's not going to do that, so I have to... This is where we get out a hammer and bonk ourselves in the head. We're at 11 minutes, and it's not going to get finished. This took me 5 tries. Off camera. Still fucked up. Let's see here. Can I get that in there? You're just basically muscling it in a little at a time. I hate you. Holy shit, I got it. Okay, anyway, so there it is. That'll explode and blow up in my face. So it did go in. That, to any workers who work at Olin, Orion, that actually do this for a living, if you know of some trick that I don't know that'll keep me from cussing, literally, I'd appreciate hearing about it. Now, we can try to do the spundicle trick here. We can try getting this thing stuck in there in such a way that I can get this stuck in. So I'm going to try doing that. Make sure I didn't lose a pin. I hate losing pins. Do you know where your pins are? I'm going to just wrench it in there. Now, this is something I noticed last time. If I just push, because this has the notches on it, one of the notches can be used very carefully to push this thing up, and it actually latches to where it's sticking up here, and it's actually in the other notch here. I can't show you on camera properly, but it is stuck there. And you can wrench it back. It does not want to go back. And kind of get it in there, and then you can see that it's like that. That really hurts my hand, but I'm going to show you it. And you stick in the plastic. There. Now I got a flare with a thingy stuck in it. Now when you do that, now you can go ahead and put this in like this. You got to look for the hole to line up. It's not going to want to. And oddly enough, this is the part that's weird. You slide out your plastic piece slowly, make sure it's lined up to where you can see the pinhole, even though it's not lining up. You pull out this, and you let it slam onto it. And the screwed up part is, now, even though you just smashed the entire mechanism together, it's actually lined up almost the way it would be when it's working. We take out our pin, after cussing a blue streak, dooming ourselves to an unholy hell of maybe working the place that makes these. Let's see if I can get this in here. It does not want to move that way. Put it in. Okay, now I'm just going to... There. When you do it right the first time, don't look surprised. It's embarrassing. Now we put the plastic in place with another piece of plastic. Get in there, you son of a bastard. There. So simple a child prodigy can do it. So anyway, then pull the trigger. Pull this back, wait for it. Pull the trigger. Push it forward, pull the trigger. Okay. Push it forward, let go of it. That's all the functions. Dry firing it when I don't want to. Fuck, that's loud. And it works. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. I hope that was as aggravating for you as it is for me. This is why I hate this thing. Thanks. Bye.